It's John Pollock and Jimmy Korderas running through WWE Backlash from Sunday night in Richmond, Virginia. It was a very busy weekend, Jimmy. Before we get to Backlash, what were your conclusions watching CM Punk's MMA debut against Mickey Gall in Cleveland?
Definitely way in over his head. I mean, you're the MMA expert. I'm the casual MMA fan who just tunes in occasionally for big matches like the one.
But it got your curiosity, got a lot of people's interest to watch this. It was the most, from a marquee standpoint, that was the fight that had the most attention. And
from that standpoint, mission accomplished. You got eyes that maybe would not tune into UFC regularly, tuning into, at least out of a curiosity factor to see how we would do. And I guess the whole thing, going into that environment, I don't want people to draw the comparison that anybody who goes from WWE to try mixed martial arts would suffer the same fate. Maybe a lot of them would, but you can't compare the two. It's two different complete animals. So Conor McGregor calling him, all the WWE guys, the P word. I don't know. Are we allowed to say it on here?
No, I don't know where our regulations stand, Jimmy.
I don't know. Are we PG here? But anyways.
He wore his blue shirt today.
Yeah. There you go. Smackdown blue. I'm representing. But,
I'm curious if he fought again, regardless of an organization. Is your interest level, would it still be there? Do you want to see him continue to fight? Because that's kind of the question that UFC has to ask is like, where is the general interest in this guy fighting again, and mainly not releasing him and just sending over to a competitor like Bellator?
Yeah. Again, from a curiosity standpoint, I would be interested to see him fight. Obviously at 37 years old, that's a tough age to be a rookie, especially in mixed martial arts, as you can attest.
And without the background.
No background in it whatsoever. I mean, you could train all you want, Muay Thai or whatever, but you've never had like one amateur professional fight. So, but there is that curiosity factor for me, at least anyways, in the sense that I would like to see if he learned anything, if he progressed at all, and if it would be something that he might pursue going forward, or is this going to be one more time and get his butt kicked and then just have to really hang up the gloves?
All right, we'll move over to Backlash. This was a show that we talked about last week, that they had 6 announced matches, and it turned out to be, they did add the one match on the kickoff show with Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin, but largely kept it intact with the glaring exception of Randy Orton, who was not cleared and did not have his match with Bray Wyatt, was written off with an angle backstage, and then did show up for an RKO with Kane as the replacement, defeating Bray Wyatt. What did you think of the handling of Randy Orton? It has been reported by a number of outlets, the fact that this is believed to be concussion related. He hasn't done a match since the Brock Lesnar one, which really makes that finish a perplexing one, I think, in hindsight and even in foresight, to look at that finish and look at the end result here of this guy who has now not worked since SummerSlam. What did you think of how they handled everything with Randy Orton?
See, it all depends on whether the reports of the concussion are accurate. I'm not saying they aren't. I don't know. And and this is a big if it's because they were cautious for reasons of a concussion, then to continue to advertise this the way they did, I thought was inappropriate. I thought what they could have done to maybe is say that, just announce it, like Randy Orton suffered a concussion at the hands of Brock Lesnar. He is scheduled to face Bray Wyatt at Backlash if he is cleared by then. They could have handled it that way, and that way you have a little bit of an out, and you can have a replacement like Kane or whoever you decide to do. But doing it this way, and again, like you said, John, performing the RKO at the end of the match, and if it is a concussion-related issue that he has, that, like you said, is very perplexing because
for a company that's been pretty hard line on concussions of late.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder: is it the concussion that they were more worried about, or maybe? I don't know how. See, I never got a good shot of Randy's head where he took the 10 staples. So maybe that the wound hasn't healed quite properly, and the worry was that it would get busted wide open again, and then you'd have a similar incident to what you had at SummerSlam. So depending on the circumstance, if it was a concussion, I think they handled it the wrong way. If it isn't a concussion, it was more worried about the staples or anything. Again, maybe they were thinking that it would be healed in time.
They did go ahead and AJ Styles wins the WWE title. I thought the main event was fantastic. I thought these two had an excellent main event match. And I think the right guy has the title. I thought they were going to get at least 2 matches out of this, which they still could. But instead, the title is now on AJ Styles. And to be honest, I think this guy is the best guy all around in this company at the moment. And he is definitely the top guy on SmackDown. So I was definitely in favor of this title switch. I mean, AJ is the top guy on SmackDown, and now the title is on the top guy.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought it was going to go at least one more before the title switch. I mean, the title does belong on AJ Styles right now. He is, in my opinion, the MVP of not only SmackDown, but of the WWE right now. You know, the big question mark was how is he going to handle himself in the WWE environment under the WWE style, and would he handle himself well on the microphone? He's, aces across the board for him in that regard. I just think it's probably going to set up No Mercy. We'll get the rematch because, obviously with the finish, with the low blow, that'll play into it. And then, probably the blow-off will be Survivor Series, and then maybe we get a returning John Cena trying to recapture his smile. Maybe, but
the title had to be on AJ for whenever John Cena comes back, and that's the match, and that is a big program to go back to. So I thought in terms of the actual match, Jimmy, I just thought it was an outstanding match. I think this crowd was very much into it, and even negative on Dean Ambrose at times. You can see when he was reaching the rope or kicking out. I mean, this crowd wanted to see AJ Styles win. Yeah, at least a portion of them.
And what I really enjoyed about the match, you said it was a very, very good match, but it's the way it progressed because it started off slow, it built and told a story, and it did what it's supposed to do. The biggest reaction of the match is supposed to be the end, the finish, to get whether it's a positive or negative, depending on who wins, and that goal was accomplished.
Other things I liked about the show, I really liked the Usos.
Yes.
I liked the new attire, and I liked how they have thrown out so much of their style in the ring. I mean, they worked this match, very much similar to, this was like a revival match. Just break down the body part, cut off the ring. They completely changed their style, which you don't always see when you have a babyface turn and they still work like a babyface. They cut so much of that stuff out. I felt they should have just won the titles, to be honest, and get to the American Alpha feud. But they went with the feel-good moment of Heath, Slater, and Rhyno winning. But overall, just the Usos and the decision to put the tag titles on Slater and Rhyno.
Well, I love the Usos as heels and the little style change because one of the biggest complaints I have personally is when heel tag teams or actually heel singles wrestler, whoever it happens to be, they perform all these cool moves. And if you're a heel and you're trying to get a heel reaction, you want to get a negative reaction from the crowd, you want to get booed. If you're doing something extremely cool, I'm a wrestling fan and I'm suspending disbelief for a little while, and I want to boo this guy, and then I go, I want to boo this guy, but man, that was pretty cool.
I was just very impressed. This is a team that's been working as baby faces for 6 years on the main roster, and boom, they just turned a switch. I was very impressed on Sunday.
I like that they didn't change their music yet. It's a slow progression. Maybe this week,
but not obviously doing the entrance,
right? The haka and all that stuff, which obviously is
makes sense.
Absolutely.
Also, the women's match. Your thoughts on this? This to me exceeded my expectations. I thought a number of the women looked very good, and they went with Becky Lynch to have a strong babyface champion to build around. But the women, A, got time, and B, with all those bodies, those can often be a cluster, and I think they worked it well. I mean, some look better than others.
Yeah.
Alexa Bliss impressed me in this match. I mean, she was given a number of key spots, and I think it was the best she's looked since being brought up.
Yeah, it's a very good showcase for the women. Like you said, with plenty of time, I think the big benefit for them was because of the time, it wasn't rushed. The problem with
everyone got time on this show because they had a lot to fill and still ended early.
But I tend to notice, and it's not a knock against the women, but when the women have matches that appear to be rushed, that's when things get a little sloppy because they try to rush through things. And this, they were able to calm down, settle down, like especially in a six-pack challenge like the way it was, where you're going to have spots where the ring gets cleared out, there's some crash and burn and leave two people in the ring to do their stuff. I thought it was structured pretty well, and I'm okay with Becky Lynch, like you said, as champion, a nice, strong babyface. And I wonder if the 30 days are up yet for Eva Marie, because that would be a hell of a contrast because nuclear heat there, and of course the fans who think that she can't wrestle, maybe she's gotten better at it.
Oh, she's back in. I think she's off one more week and then could be back next week because it was August 18th. I think this suspension went into effect, so we're coming up on 30 days.
I just want to hear the next excuse for why she can't wrestle in her next match. That's all.
We will find out after her vacation.
The fun stuff.
The Miz and Dolph Ziggler. These two went just over 18 minutes to showcase that everyone was given ample time on this show. I thought they worked a pretty good match, and now Miz is stealing Daniel Bryan's spot. So we not only are seeing them on screen together after being told they have been separated forever, they're on screen together. Now he's mocking Bryan's moves in the ring. I mean, it definitely is giving you the sense that they are moving forward to this. What the end result is, I don't know. No,
it's curious because, as we know, Daniel Bryan will probably not be cleared to have another match in the WWE ever again. So it's got to be some sort of retribution from the authority figure against The Miz, whether it's putting him up against, a litany of high-quality opponents. But again, talking about the SmackDown roster and the thin depth chart on the map, there ain't a lot of guys that you could throw at him to have that be a possibility. But I do like Miz is just, to me, right now doing it the best work. Even when he was like WWE champion and headlining WrestleMania with John Cena, I think the work he's doing now far exceeds what he's done then.
I agree with you, and that's why I hated that stupid backstage thing they did with the kid from Nickelodeon. To me, it's like that's the stuff I don't want to see this new version of The Miz involved in, where he looks like the fool that just has to be looked upon as a joke, because they're curbing this guy away from that joke character. Right. So I don't need to see those segments. Dolph Ziggler loses yet again. I mean, the announcers were playing it up so big about the fact that he's always losing. I think the turn is the only possible explanation to conclude this with Dolph Ziggler, because he has just been destroyed character-wise these last 2 months.
Yeah, I think a complete head-to-toe reboot has to happen for him, and like I said,
he needs the Usos treatment.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe let the blonde hair go black and get away from that. The almost like that Shawn Michaels kind of attire look and stuff like that, and just go completely off the rails and just be like a guy who kicks ass as opposed to a showstopper.
And, of course, we mentioned Kane was the replacement for Randy Orton. They had a no-holds-barred match to give them the luxury of using weapons. And then, as we mentioned, Orton came in, RKO. And Kane gets the win, surprisingly. I mean, it was largely credit to Randy Orton here, and I guess it's just going to be a wait-and-see until Orton is cleared that they can get the match out of Bray Wyatt.
Unlike most people, I'm looking at this glass half full, and I know people are complaining, is Bray Wyatt ever going to get a win on a pay-per-view? And I get that point, but at the same time, the money feud is with him and Randy Orton. It's not with him and Kane. So by Randy Orton coming out and costing Bray Wyatt the match, he has a reason to go after Randy Orton even more from a storyline standpoint. So from that side, it makes sense. And I get it. I know Bray Wyatt needs a big win, and people are going to say, well, Randy Orton's not going to lose 2 feuds in a row. He lost one to Brock Lesnar. He's not going to lose to Bray Wyatt. Why not? I mean, he's like Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho could lose every match from now until he retires, and he'll still be over. Same with Randy Orton.
Where were your thumbs for Backlash, the first SmackDown pay-per-view of the new brand split era?
I'm going to put slightly up only because I didn't have a problem with any of the matches. They were all actually pretty good. There was no bad match. Nothing was blowaway except for the main event. It felt like I don't want to say a glorified SmackDown or a glorified Raw. It just felt like it didn't feel like that really, really special show that you
took the words right out of my mouth. When I was watching this, I was enjoying the show. The length, you have a really good roster by and large that, I mean, when you're given time, it's very hard for these people have like awful matches. They got the time. They didn't have to rush. I like that about this show. There wasn't a match I disliked on this show, but it certainly did not feel special, which I always want these events to feel, because once they don't, that's when they just become they're just skippable to people that, you get so much good wrestling. What is unique about this show? And I don't think you want that to be the end result of these brand split pay-per-views.
It almost feels like just more content. And I get it, right. With the different business model being on the network, people are going to tune in anyways because they've already subscribed to $9.99 or $11.99 if you're here in Canada. It's just the way the world is right now. It's unfortunately going to go in that direction, I guess, going forward, and leave the. Hopefully, when Survivor Series comes to Toronto, it kind of recaptures some of that aura of being one of the big 4 pay-per-views it used to be.
And something to differentiate itself. I mean, this pay-per-view had an underrun, which I'm a big fan of, Jimmy. 20 minutes early you were out.
Hey, I was cool with that. And one last thing, you mentioned earlier Baron Corbin and
right, they were on the kickoff with Corbin winning.
You know what? I like the fact that it's a slow build for Baron Corbin because he's another guy that I see potential in. And potential money in the future with this guy. I know on the Raw side, everybody's talking about Big Cass being the big guy, but on the SmackDown side, here's a guy I think, if built correctly, could be a possible challenger to that Brock Lesnar WrestleMania moment.
There you go. Both brands trying to build their BC.
And again, as far as Apollo Crews is, I get the WWE puts smiles on people's faces. He's not supposed to keep putting it on Crews' face. Let's let him put it on somebody else's face for once.
There you go. Some food for thought. That is our review of Backlash. We will be back in just a week's time as Clash of Champions is fast approaching from Indianapolis, Indiana. We will have a preview for that. You can always get all of our stuff at liveaudiowrestling.com. Follow him at Jimmy Korderas, Outlaw Radio, and we will chat with you next time.